Hello. It's my pleasure to introduce our guest today, Adityo Prakash, CEO of the Verseon International. You are welcome.
Thank you, Hussein. Thank you for having me.
In this session, we have an interesting topic for pharma and healthcare, the role of AI in the future of the drug discovery. And additionally, we will discuss some of the biggest challenge as using AI in healthcare, and such as accuracy and tracking sparse data. We will be happy if you share some information about your professional journey and the mission of Verseon International.
I am a mathematical physicist by training. I left academia to start my first company, Pulsant. There, we developed technology that is at the heart of all video streaming today. Then I co-founded Verseon to change how the world develops new medicines to treat major human diseases. The common connection, I suppose, is physics and math. Verseon's mission is to transform the delay, prevention, and treatment of human disease. We're pioneering new ways of discovering medicines using quantum physics breakthroughs combined with AI. We're developing new medicines that promise to change how the world treats heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, cancers, and more.
VersAI has demonstrated significantly lower error rates compared to as the Google's AutoML. Could you share some more information about your new AI model? How does it work, and what specific challenge did your team face during this development?
VersAI is our proprietary AI technology. It uses novel neural network architecture that's not based on deep learning. Google AutoML is the state-of-the-art of traditional deep learning neural networks. Our team spent a number of years developing and optimizing our novel approach. Given that our approach goes against the currently popular trend of deep learning, we had to shift to a different mindset and develop from scratch most of the underlying technology framework ourselves, which requires a significant amount of more work than what most AI companies have to do when they are just leveraging existing deep learning frameworks.
And small molecule drug discovery often deal with a vast of chemical space, but limited empirical data. Well, how does your platform overcome to the limitation of the available empirical data?
It's interesting you mentioned that. Humans have managed to make so far fewer than 10 million distinct types of chemicals over the last 150 years that we use in trial and error testing for small molecule drug discovery today. But the total possibility of how large the space is of possible drug-like chemicals is 10 to the 33. It's this massive chemical universe that completely remains unexplored while we are testing an insignificant amount of overall space based on what experimental data we have. As a result, AI trained on that same limited data can't help us get out to the rest of that unexplored part of the chemical universe. For this, we had to develop our fundamental breakthroughs in physics modeling, which does not require pre-existing data. If we can design these completely novel drug molecules from the unexplored parts of the chemical space on the computer, figure out how it'll bind to a protein based on physics simulations without having to actually make them and test them in the lab, which is an extremely time-consuming and expensive process, then you can now start generating new data on these kinds of completely novel molecules that have never been made or tested before. And in AI parlance, we call that synthetic data. Once the physics models show that, oh, these particular drug structures are really promising for a particular disease-causing protein target, then we make them in the lab. We collect all of the experimental in vitro and in vivo data on them. and all of that also gets fed to our AI. This is how you break the empirical data barrier when you do small molecule drug discovery. AI alone can't do it, but if you combine it with the right breakthroughs in physics, we call it our deep quantum modeling, that allows us to explore things that we currently don't have empirical data for, but you can generate using these other computational tools. But this synthetic data that you collect based on your physics models, and then you also follow that up with experimental verification and further experimental data, this data is still sparse. To make the most of this small sparse data, we had to develop VersAI. It requires far less data than deep learning to optimize our drug candidates. It learns from the sparse data that we can generate. And as our published peer-reviewed results demonstrate, VersAI does that with much greater accuracy than, say, Google AutoML or other state-of-the-art deep learning technologies. So that's how our process works.
Oncology is a field where the precision and accuracy is in drug development are critical. Could you discuss any ongoing or upcoming project within Verseon's pipeline that leverage VersAI to develop novel oncology therapies?
Sure. We use this deep quantum modeling to design completely novel drugs and VersAI to further optimize them. We do this for all our drug programs, but I'll give you an oncology example. For instance, we're developing completely novel small molecule drugs targeting a protein called CD73. Many tumor cells express this protein CD73 as a way to evade being targeted and eliminated by the immune system. Current industry work has focused on developing antibody drugs against CD73. But the problem with these antibody drugs, these so-called biologics, is that they have very poor tumor penetration. We're developing these first-in-class small molecule drugs that will be completely novel immuno-oncology agents targeting CD73 that do not have this problem with tumor penetration and will be far better in that sense than the current antibody-based drugs and help treat a range of major cancers.
Traditional AI models require massive data sets and often struggle with the predicting properties of the novel drug-like structure. How does VersAI ensure robust predictions with much smaller data sets?
Well, VersAI was developed specifically for these kinds of small, sparse data sets, including small molecule drug discovery. So in these small data contexts, it obviously does a better job of generating predictions than other AI methods. VersAI is used as part of a comprehensive drug development process, which includes our quantum molecular modeling technology, deep quantum modeling, and extensive wet lab testing. Not only do these other parts of our process provide synthetic and preliminary experimental data for VersAI, but they also verify the predictions of our AI and provide feedback to improve the AI models via reinforcement learning.
What are the future research and the development plans you have for VersAI?
We will obviously continue to improve VersAI's predictive and generative capabilities. Some of those improvements are already well underway. For instance, a series of new peer-reviewed papers are coming out over the next several months that will cover recently developed aspects of our AI technology. Given that our approach is very novel in the field, we have a wide open range of applications for VersAI, and we're also expecting to find many new opportunities to further improve and use this technology.
AI model have been used to optimize this is also important for clinical trial design, patient requirements. How does VersAI contribute to this process, especially in context of the rare cancer or patient population where data is limited?
Well, that's an interesting question. Rare diseases necessarily involve, small patient populations, and they translate into less data. VersAI is far better positioned to analyze that limited available data than other AI to make predictions on trial outcomes or patient selection and other things like those.
This is important. I just want to add something more. The rare disease, when you discuss about in each group, they are very small, but the whole population is very big. And how do you think about the future of the AI to struggle to find solution for this disease?
Well, actually, again, there are two things. Rare diseases, if we fully understand the mechanism of the disease, then the drug discovery processes like what we're building will allow us to find new drugs, but then you still have to take them to trials. And here, the small patient population often, presents challenges if you're trying to tease out, effects of the drug and so forth. And if you're using AI to analyze some of that and adapt your trials, your AI needs to be able to make better predictions with the limited available data. And that, again, in situations like those, VersAI like technology will shine.
Mm-hmm. Some of health professionals are skeptical about using AI in clinical decision making due to concern about the data reliability and transparency. How do you address this concern, and what step are you taking to build trust in your AI solution?
AI used in clinical setting is an entirely different kind of problem. Okay, there clearly you're collecting lots and lots of patient outcome data and building AI tools to aid the clinician in their work. And as you pointed out, as far as reliability and transparency go, indeed, most current AI models are seen as black boxes that provide very little transparency and insight into its prediction process, which can easily make human observers or clinicians uncomfortable. Since we were on the topic of VersAI, let me say that VersAI, on the other hand, has built-in real-time explainability. We built our technology with certain things like these in mind. If human decision makers can determine the validity of an AI model's output and understand the rationale and the relative importance of different variables that lead to that output, then they can all intervene much easier, update the models very effectively when necessary, and enabling human researchers to perform periodic verification and validation through this real-time explainability process, making the whole entire methodology more efficient, can provide further feedback to AI for reinforcement learning. We believe technologies like these will make the applicability of AI in clinical settings easier.
As AI model like VersAI become more prevalent in drug discovery, what regulatory and ethical challenge do you foresee, and how are you preparing to address them?
Good question. From an ethical perspective, how you come up with drugs is irrelevant. There are no ethical implications to discovery methods whatsoever. Whether you are using traditional high-throughput screening, a conventional AI trained on that data, or VersAI coupled with our physics modeling, it really doesn't matter. Anything anyone finds still has to go through the same preclinical and clinical testing regime to ensure their safety and efficacy, right? So how you find it, the FDA doesn't care. There are no ethical issues involved. As long as you find something novel that's going to treat a disease, you have to prove it first in in vitro models, then in other preclinical animal models, etc., and eventually in the humans. So when people talk about an AI drug or a computationally designed drug has not done this or that, it really is irrelevant. The drug could have fallen on your lap from the heavens. You still have to characterize it. You still have to prove it's any good through all of the testing. But further along in the development process during clinical trials, we were talking about clinical trials, it is possible for AI to have biases in patient selection or errors in its analysis. Now you do have certain ethical concerns. This has nothing to do with how you found the drugs. It's not drug discovery. It's development. It's trials. We're getting closer to the clinical setting now, right? And these challenges will have to be sorted out over time. That said, the real-time explainability offered by technologies like VersAI will allow human researchers to find and address these issues much more quickly and easily.
Looking ahead, how do you envision the role of AI in the revolutionizing healthcare and drug discovery? What are the key milestones you hope to achieve in next 5 and 10 years for the future?
It's hard to predict what happens far out in the future. However, what we see is that AI has the potential to transform our understanding of human biology. But then when we combine that with complementary breakthroughs in physics, engineering, etc., like we're doing at Verseon, we will be able to generate a steady stream of new medicines to treat human diseases far better than we can today.
Thank you very much for joining us. It was really a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you, sir.